welcome to another Python video from Programming to Success. Today, we'll be looking at how to make a quiz in Python using what we have learned in our past few videos. So without further ado, let's get on with today's lesson. The first thing we can do is we can say print welcome to the quiz. And as you probably know, when this program is run, welcome to the quiz will be displayed on the IDLE shell. Next, we can say print and then problem1. Now, the first step to a quiz is to create a question. And we cannot use print statements for that because the user has to be able to respond to it. So we would use input statements, which we learned in our previous video. We can say input and then whatever we want to be displayed on the screen. We can say what is 54 divided by 9. So the user will be able to respond to this. However, whatever the user types in will be completely lost. If we want that data to be saved, we should store this inside of a variable. We can call that variable question1 and store input what is 54 divided by 9 in it. Next, we need to test if an answer is correct or incorrect. To do that, we can first create a variable called answer1 and store the correct answer of 6 inside of it, because 54 over 9 is 6. Next, we can use if statements to see if it's correct or not. We would say if, and then our Boolean expression. In this case, it's question1 equal to answer1. This will test if whatever the user types in is equivalent to whatever is stored inside of answer1. In this case, it'll test if whatever the user types in is equivalent to 6. If that's true, then it'll do the code inside of the if statement. We can say print you are correct. If this condition is met, this will be executed. However, as you probably know, we'll get an error here because we are comparing a string and an integer. And in our previous video, we learned the simple solution to this. We can just convert this string to an integer by using the keyword int and putting this around parentheses. Next, we need to create an else statement because what if the answer is incorrect? So we'll say else, and Python knows that if this if statement is false, this else statement has to automatically be true. So if this is evaluated to be false, Python will come down to the else statement and do this code. We can say, sorry, you are incorrect. This will be printed out. Well, let's just try running this code right now. How about we put a colon and a space here so it's easier to see. It'll say, welcome to the quiz, problem 1. What is 54 divided by 9? If we say 6, it'll get you are correct. However, if we type in something completely different like 10, it'll say, sorry, you are incorrect. But as you can probably see, all this stuff here is just jumbled together. What if we want a space between welcome to the quiz and problem 1? It's actually really simple. You can just print out an empty line right here. Just have an empty print statement, and that line will just be, you'll just get a gap in between them. So now if we run our code, it'll give you a gap to start with. And the answer won't be changed. If we type in 6, it'll still get you are correct. So with this method, we can create multiple questions. Let's just copy and paste that chunk of code and just create a different question. We can say print problem2 and change this variable over here to question2 and then our new question. What is the heaviest land animal? We can ask that. And we'll get a space here for the user to type in their answer. And we can change this variable to answer2. And as you probably know, the heaviest land animal is an elephant. So we can say answer2 equals to the string elephant. And then we can compare question2 and answer2. And we do not need to convert this question2 to an integer. However, we do need to convert answer2 to a string because question2 is a string and answer2 is not. So to do that, we can just use the keyword str and convert it to a string. Answer2 will be converted to a string. And then, if this condition is true, we'll get you are correct. If it's false, we'll get sorry, you are incorrect. So let's try this out. We'll first ask the first question, and if we say 6, you are correct. What is the heaviest land animal? If we type in elephant, you're correct. However, if we type in something completely random for both of them, like 10 for the first one, we'll get sorry, you are incorrect. And something random here, like you'll get sorry, you are incorrect, because those answers were evaluated to be false in the if statement, in both of them. And then we can create a third question. Print problem 3, change this over here to question 3, this to answer 3, and we can put our new question. We're going to just say fill in the blank. In Python, true and false are known as blank values. And then we can give a colon and a space. And we can say answer 3 is, as you probably know, in Python, true and false are Boolean values. So we can say Boolean over here. And then we can compare the two, question 2 and question 3 and answer 3. And we still need this conversion of a string. And then we can just try running this code. We'll ask us our first question. And then it'll come to the third question, fill in the blank. In Python, true and false are known as blank values. If we type in Boolean, we'll get you are correct. And now just have one last question here. We can say print problem 4, change this over here to question 4, this to answer 4, and we can ask, who is the first US president? And then we can say answer 4 equals 2. As you probably know, the first US president is George Washington. So we can say that over here. And then we just need to change these over here to answer 4, to question 4, and answer 4. And now, if we run our code, we'll get question 1 to start off with like usual. And then question 2, question 3, and question 4. We type in George Washington, we'll get you are correct, because that's the answer that Python was expecting here in the if statement. Now, let's try making this a little more complicated. How about we add a point system to this quiz? Well, the first step to it is that we need to create a variable up here called points. Let's call it points, and we'll store the value of 0 inside of it, because to start off with, you have 0 points. And then we go down here where we say if this is correct. So if the first answer is correct, we just have to add 1 to points. So we can say points equals to points plus 1. This will just add 1 to the points and store the new value. So it'll take 0 over here and say 0 plus 1, which is 1, and add 1 into points instead of 0. 0 will get replaced with 1. And then down here, we can print out points. We can say print points equals to, and then we can add the two things together. We can say points over here. This will combine these two. However, as you probably know, this is wrong because they're different types. So we just convert this to a string and we're set. It'll print it out for us. How about we print an empty line here, just so that it's a little easier to see. So if we run this, we'll first ask, what is 54 over 9? If we type in 6, it'll say you are correct. Points equals to 1 because 1 was added to points. This statement of adding something to a variable is known as an increment statement. We use this a lot in programming, so there is a simpler way to write this, a faster way. The compounded way you can write this, instead of saying points equals to points plus 1, is that you can just say points plus or equal to 1. It's just a simpler and faster way to write it. And now if you run your code, it'll still give you the same thing, points equals to 1. So how about we just copy and paste this everywhere? And we don't add points to the else statement because if we get an incorrect answer, there's no reason to add points. So we can go down here like we did with problem 1. Let's just copy and paste that for problem 2. and just add points. One more point. Points plus or equal to 1. We do the same for problem 3. Points plus or equal to 1. And finally, for problem 4, we can do the same thing. So, in this case, if all the answers are correct, 1 will keep getting added, and finally you'll get 4 points. However, if you get an incorrect answer, nothing will be added to points. So, let's just try this out. We'll run the program. And if we say something wrong, like 0, points equals to 0, because it went in the else statement and did not add 1. And if we get it right, we'll get points equals to 1. And if we get this right also, points equals to 2. 1 more was added. And if we get this right, points is 3. And finally, points is 4. We got all 4 correct. We got 4 points in the end. Now, we can do one more thing to this quiz. We can add like a final verdict statement. So, based on the points, we can type out something back to them, like a feedback. We can just say, if points equals to 4. So, if whatever is stored in points is 4, then we print this out. We'll say print, you are really smart. And then we can say else, elif points, elif stands for else if, and then points equals to 3. So if this if statement is false, Python will come down to the elif statement and do this code. We can say print, you did a great job. So if point is 4, you'll get you are really smart. If you got 3 points, you'll get you did a great job. And then we can do the same thing here for 2 and 1. Points equal to 2. Print, you are so on this quiz. No, you did so on this quiz. And you can close that. And then one more for 1. Elif points equal to 1. And then we can say print, you need to work harder next time. And then finally, else, we can have an else statement over here to finish it off. We can say print, start studying. And we can close that. And then we can just have an empty print statement there, so we get a gap in between it. So now if we run it, we'll first ask our first question. If we say 6, you are correct, point is 1. And if we say elephant, correct, point is 2. If we say Boolean, correct, point is 3. And finally, if we say George Washington, correct, point is 4. And since we got 4 points, you are really smart was returned back to us. That will be it, and now you know how to make a quiz in Python. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. And if you have any questions, please let me know down below in the comments. That will be all for today, and I'll see you in the next lesson.